we cry over small things? It's such a relatable pain point, isn't it? You get overwhelmed, you cry easily, and you desperately just want a magic pill to become emotionally strong overnight. So what do? We share our feelings with family or friends, hoping for a life raft. But somehow, ironically, you often end up feeling even more isolated or misunderstood.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the oversharing trap. Let's look at the real cost of venting.
We kinda just assume venting makes us feel lighter, right? And sure, in the immediate moment, it does. You talk, you cry, you let it all out. But the painful reality is entirely different. When you overshare your deepest anxieties and frustrations, you're often just transferring a heavy burden right onto someone else. Even worse, if you share every single negative thought with friends or relatives, you're unintentionally handing them ammunition. Later down the line, they might use those exact words to label you as negative or taunt you for always complaining. That temporary relief, it just isn't worth the long-term cost.
Moving right along to Section 2, the myth of perfect lives and what happens behind closed doors.
You know exactly what I'm talking about here, the social media mask. You look online or maybe you go to a big family get-together and everyone has this massive, perfect smile plastered on their face. People are constantly posting these flawless family portraits, and it creates this incredibly convincing illusion that all the happiness in the world is in their house, and literally all the problems are in yours. You look at those photos and think, man, I must be the only one with a broken, difficult reality. But let me tell you, it's just a mask. Behind closed doors, people are struggling just as much as you are.
There is a hard-hitting truth we just have to accept. Nobody's life is perfect. Inside, everyone has secrets. If they came out, you'd realize their life is just as messy as yours. Whether it's the wealthiest person, the poorest person, or even your personal idols, nobody has a flawless life. If their hidden secrets were suddenly broadcasted to the world, you'd see that their reality is an absolute mess too. Understanding this is absolutely crucial. It's the first major step to feeling less alienated by your own emotional struggles.
That brings us to Section 3, reality versus expectations and the gap between them. Think about how absurd our expectations actually are. Asking to never feel emotional pain is like asking for a medicine that guarantees you will never get sick again until you die. I know, it's a bit of dark humor, but it perfectly highlights the reality of the situation. Emotional fluctuations, negative thoughts, moments of sadness, these are fundamental signs of life. The only time you stop facing problems and getting sick is when you're dead. Expecting to be a perfectly stable robot who never reacts to anything, it's just an impossible goal.
And this expectation gap leads us into a major trap. Reality tells us life is naturally full of problems and unpredictable thoughts. But bad, fake self-help advice tells you to just keep your mind completely calm no matter what. This toxic advice actually widens the gap. When you inevitably feel upset about a real, genuine problem, you now feel twice as bad because you think you're failing at keeping calm. It completely ignores basic human nature.
So what do? Section 4, the paper and pen method. Let's look at a practical, physical tool.
Here is a highly effective, physical way to safely release those heavy emotions. It's the paper and pen method. Step 1. Write down those heavy, dark, or dangerous thoughts. Just get them out of your head and onto a physical piece of paper. Step 2. Tear the paper to shreds. And Step 3. Throw it away. Now, it sounds ridiculously simple, I know, but it allows you to safely release the heavy emotions without burdening your relationships, creating unnecessary drama, or giving someone else the power to use your vulnerabilities against you. But hey, what about when we do share and our family shuts us down? Let's completely reframe this for a second. Say you complain to your mother about small flaws in your in-laws, and she tells you to just stay quiet and ignore it. It feels like she's invalidating you, right? Well, actually, scratch that. From her perspective, she's not ignoring you, she's protecting your home. She has life experience. She knows that if she validates every single minor complaint and encourages you to fight every small battle, that negativity will spread like wildfire, and eventually it'll break your home apart. She's asking you to let the small things go for your own long-term benefit. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds. Prioritize your battles.
We need a brilliant, honest definition of overthinking here. It's not just thinking too much. It's a loop of thoughts completely disconnected from reality, primarily caused by not knowing what is actually important to you. When your mind is disorganized and hasn't figured out its actual priorities, everything feels like a massive crisis. You start imagining wild scenarios and assuming what other people are thinking, and it just spirals totally out of control. So, how do we fix this whole shebang? With the top 5 exercise.
I actually want to challenge you right now, as you take in this explainer. After we're done, physically write down your personal top 5 priorities. What are the 5 most important things in your life or in your relationship? You absolutely have to clarify what truly matters to you on paper. Otherwise, your brain is going to treat every minor inconvenience like a threat to your very survival.
Because once you have your top 5 locked in, everything changes. If one of your core priorities is threatened, that is when you take a stand and fight. You conserve your energy for what matters. But if you waste your emotional battery fighting over 100 minor inconveniences, a passing comment, a bad meal, a minor disagreement, you are just wasting your energy. If you exhaust yourself on those 100 minor things, when a major boundary is actually crossed, you literally won't have the strength left to fight the battle that actually matters.
And this brilliantly illustrates why these top 5 priorities are so deeply personal. Take 2 completely different core natures. Person A values freedom above all else. They absolutely hate being micromanaged. Person B values security. They want a stable 20-year career and will happily ignore minor insults at work just to keep it. Both are completely valid, but they are entirely different. If Person A takes a highly secure but micromanaged job, they will be totally miserable. Knowing your own specific nature is the master key to finding emotional peace.
Think of it like the metaphor of a fish trying its absolute hardest to fly in the air. It constantly jumps up, struggles, gasps, and falls back down, suffering immensely. Why is it suffering? Well, because it lacks self-awareness. It doesn't realize it's a fish and that it simply belongs in the water. When we don't know our own priorities and we try to live a life that doesn't match our core nature, we're basically just fish trying to fly.
So I leave you with this final, lingering question. Are you a fish trying to fly? Stop chasing a fake, emotionless existence where nothing ever bothers you. That's impossible. Instead, define your priorities. Figure out your top 5. Find your water. Once you know what truly matters to you, those small things you used to cry over won't seem so big anymore.